Hi everyone, today we are going to write some integration tests for our cars API. My name is Dima, you are on SD3 channel. So let me quickly remind you what we are doing here. We are building car maintenance tracker application. So I want to track when I did the maintenance of my car last time, what services I did, what I changed there, and so on. And in the best case, I would like to get some suggestions what I need to change the next time. And maybe it's out of the minimal valuable product right now, but I hope we will implement together with you some notifications. Maybe we will write some integration with the messenger, something like that. So on the backend, we are using a Spring Boot and Postgres. We are building a REST API. At the front end, I'm going to use custom ChatGPT. We can integrate REST API with the ChatGPT using the Open API specification. Here it is. So this is some kind of documentation of our endpoints. And the last time we built those 4 endpoints. Yeah, this one. And today I'm going to, I'm going to write some integration test for it. So those people who watched my previous streams could remember that we already write some integration tests, but today I decided to concentrate on the integration test because I wanted to explain deeply my technical decisions, why I'm using the integration tests, how I'm writing. So I have almost 15 years of experience and I'm doing the same integration tests on my daily job. So, and they help me a lot, if to be honest. So let me explain first why I do not write the unit tests. No, it's not correct. I write the unit test, but it's a very small percentage of the tests I am writing every day. So because you cannot write the unit test for the controller layer. You can test this little piece of code, but if we will take a look a little bit, if we zoom out our point of view, we will see that we have the request mapping here, we have the status code, we have some annotations to, for example, map our path variables, we have some validation, and the unit test cannot test it. So I cannot be sure that I put correct annotation, for example, request body on my controller and it's working with the unit tests. I cannot be sure that the Spring validation works as I expect. So this is the first reason. So I want to be sure that controller layer is working as I expect. The second reason is I think we defined some configuration properties. Let me take a look. Configuration property. Yeah, here it is. This is the properties we defined in our application YAML. So application YAML. This is our configurations. And as you can see, we have some validation annotations here, and we marked it as a validated. That means that when Spring Boot application starts, it will check if those properties are present in our application YAML. And if those properties are not valid, application will fail immediately. So that means it will not even start. So this is the second part that I cannot test with the unit tests. And the third one, I want to be sure that the repository layer is working actually. Sometimes we can define some queries here, for example, custom queries. We can write anything we want, and I want to be sure that it's working. I cannot do it with the unit tests. One more thing I wanted to mention: you can often find that someone is using H2 database to perform their integration tests against to. And it's absolutely ridiculous in my opinion. If H2 and the Postgres are not the same databases, it's not absolutely compatible. So it's really strange to use something like H2. So in the era before Docker and test containers, it was fine. It was almost one of the option, just the most popular option to write the integration test. But right now we have a Docker. And inside of the Docker, we have our images. So as you can see, this is the Postgres image and so on. And we use the test containers. So how does it work? When the test is executed, the real Postgres database is started inside of the test containers during our tests. And all the requests executed against the real database. It's absolutely the same as you executed some queries against your Postgres on production. So we need to simulate the environment, the production-like environment, to be sure that it's almost the same, and we can find exceptions on the early stage. So that is why I'm using the test containers, and this is the test containers configuration. This is the modern way how you can define different containers using the Spring. So Spring supports a lot of different databases. You can start, for example, MySQL. You can start anything you want, if to be honest. You can start the distributed caches here, for example, Redis in the test containers. You can start even Kafka or RabbitMQ. So everything that all the your infrastructure components can be started here. So and you can execute your test against the real databases, real distributed caches, real queues, and so on. So this is the idea. Also, as those 6 people who watched my previous stream remember that I defined my custom annotation for the integration tests. So let me explain it quickly. This is the annotations required to my annotation. I just wanted to say that this is the target. Type means I can apply my annotation to the classes, to the interfaces, and so on. This retention means that it's executed in the runtime. This is the active profile that I want to be activated for my tests. This is the most important thing. This is the Spring Boot test. It's actually the root annotation for every integration test in the Spring. That means the Spring will start all the context, will configure some beans that we will need in the future, and so on. And we say that this Spring Boot application should be started on some random port. This one and this one, we needed them. The first one, we need to configure the database, and the second one, we want to configure some mock MVC bean. We use it to run some queries to our API, and we need to import our test containers configuration. So we need it because we need some test containers, Postgres, and so on. And as you remember, so I put this annotation under the our tests. So and everything that under my single annotation is applied to these classes. Yeah. So we have some of the tests already, and this is the time to write some integration test for the car controller. So we can create a test. This is the integration test. So we need to mark it as the integration test with our annotation. I need to import the mock MVC. I'm using the mock MVC, as I said, to execute the queries to my API. Actually, you can use, there is some other options, like you can after configure web client, I think, web test client, and you can inject web test client instead of the mock MVC, for example. You can after configure the REST test. I think there is an annotation to after configure the REST test client or something like that. But I'm the old guy, and mock MVC is not deprecated as far as I remember. IntelliJ will show it to us. So, and I don't see any reason to switch, to the web client here in the tests. We will not get any, performance improvements for our tests, I think. So let's define some tests. I decided to introduce the convention. Sorry. Oh, that's a little bit better. I decided to introduce the convention. For example, we are writing the test for the create method, and this is the left part. And on the right part, I want to write what I'm expecting here. So, for example, okay, that means I'm going to trigger the create method, and I expect it's not okay, created. We expect that the car is created. So let me write some code here. So I can show you quickly what method is it. This is the post users / cars. So we are going to create the car for the user. So yeah, this is the post. We want to call the car controllers API create, pass create. It throws some exception, as you can see. So in this URL, as you can see, we need to provide the user ID, but we don't have any users right now. So we need to define some of them. So, and I like to create some little database scripts to insert the data I need instead of calling the endpoints every time. For example, I can call the register endpoint, and then I can create the car, but it's too long. In this particular test, we are going to test only one endpoint, and I don't see any reason to call the register user endpoint. Okay. So yeah, insert the users, for example, SQL. Okay, edit. So, and I want to say that I want to insert into the users. What is here? ID, name, password. Aha. No. We have the database, and there is the users, and IntelliJ should know how to connect. And yeah, so, and IntelliJ should suggest to us what columns do we have, email and password. Okay, so the email Dmitro Shvechikov, it's me, example.com, and we can insert some password 123. It doesn't matter here. We use the password encoder for the real tests, but for the real endpoint. But here for the test, it doesn't matter. Is it some hash or some string, whatever we want to insert here. So, and I want to say that we need the users for every test here, right? And I can say that we need to insert the users before every test. And I need to specify the path. Yeah, IntelliJ says that it cannot be resolved. So maybe IntelliJ will help us to find it. Cannot find interface method SQL. But it should be the value. It's value. Yeah, like this. Let's close everything else. So we added the user, but we need some ID here. Not sure if we can do it right like this. It's managed by Postgres. So unfortunately, I think we will need to get the user back. So let's inject the user repository if we can. I think we can. It's the user package. So we need to find the user, find by email. Where is the email? This is my email. Some example email, right? User email. And this is the user. Let's throw something immediately, or else throw. It doesn't matter what to throw in the tests actually. So this is the user. And here we need to execute everything against the ID of this user. Mock MVC. This is the cars API. Yeah, and we need to say that we send the content type application JSON, right? And we need to provide some content here. And as far as I remember, we created some util class to load the JSON, to load the data from the files. Here it is. This is the resource loader. Read file. Yeah, and I want to define some fixture here. That's a little bit better. So we need to say this is the cars API, this is the create method, and this is the request, and it should be okay. It should be okay. So it should be, or maybe valid. Let's name it valid. So it should be valid request actually. So what we need to create the car, we need to provide the following. We need to provide the following. This is the example. So the make Audi, for example, A4. The year is 2025. Why not? We do not validate the year. We validate the minimum year, but the maximum is not validated yet. So engine maybe 1.5 TSI, and fuel type is I don't know, some guess. I not sure if it is it even exists, but it's just the test. So we don't. I wanted to remind you that I decided to simplify the API, so we don't have the, for example, separate database to store the fuel types, or for example the make or the model, so user can insert whatever he wants to insert here. But it's just the MVP. But in the in the best way, we need to collect some database to provide the makes, the models, the years. For example, as far as I know, there is a TechDoc database. It's sure you need to pay for it, but it can provide a lot of information like this. So, and you can validate the input data. But we are a small startup, you know, so let's keep it like this, keep it simple. So this is the request we want to use. So I just say this is the cars, create request, and it should be valid. So, and what I'm expecting to get back, first of all, we need to check the status. Status, yeah, here it is. And it should be created 201 HTTP. And I expect to get some JSON. This is the JSON unit, as far as I remember, the library. We can take a look in the POM XML. So, and it should be equal to something we will define right now. So the cars, it should be, yeah, create endpoint, but right now it should be response and, for example, 201 JSON. So that is what we are expecting here. And let's create the response 201 JSON. So what we expect back, we can take a look here. This is the response example. Yeah, and we can use it in some way. So we don't know exactly which ID we'll get back. So we can say JSON unit, any number. It should be in the quotes, I think. So the make we expect is Audi A4. The year is 2025. Engine is 1.5 TSI. This should be the guess, and the date. We can use you know, the regular expression to validate that the format is absolutely the same, but again we are out of time a little bit, I think, so we can validate it as like this. So we just say that it should be some string, it should be present, some strings should be inside. So let's take a look what we will get back. My assumption is that we will get the error, but not because of our test we wrote right now, but because of the security stuff. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's failed. And yeah, 401 means unauthorized. So that means we need to provide our JWT token to be able to execute the request. So as you remember, we implemented the JWT token authentication. So we have the auth API. So you can log in with the user and password and get access token back. Again, it's very simple API. Right now, in the real world, you get the refresh token back as well. So usually the access token has it's valid during, for example, 24 hours, and the refresh token is valid, for example, for 30 days, and you can use a refresh token to get back a new access token. So, but we will implement maybe this logic a little bit later. We need to store the access tokens in the database and so on and so on. A lot of logic should be implemented for that. So, but for our integration test, we need to provide the header. It should be HTTP header authorization. So, and we need to say that we need to, yeah, I think it's a good idea to create some class to generate the tokens. JWT token provider, maybe. this should be Spring Bean. Come on, should be the component. And I want to insert our JWT utils. This is the class that helps us to generate the tokens. And I just want to create some static method that will provide the token by the email, for example. Create by email. So this is the email. And let's take a look. I cannot define the static because the utils is not static. So let's take a look. Generate token, and I need to provide authenticated user details. So new authenticated user details, and what should be here? Yeah, we need to provide the ID, email, password is not necessary, I think, here, because it's not included in the JWT token, so that is why it's absolutely fine. So yes, let's insert it in our test. Private JWT token, maybe test token provider. Test token provider, yeah, would be better. And here we need to say that let's create the token for our user. Maybe we can provide the user as it is. Could be better. User entity, user, and this is the ID, this is the email. Yeah, but in the beginning we need to add the barrier, as far as I remember, barrier like this. This is the format of the token. Barrier. No. Come on. JWT. But authorization. Yeah, this is the correct name of it. Yeah, this is the format of the token that we need to provide. Yeah, I will set the breakpoint and we will take a look what is inside. So this is the token. Yeah, as you can see, the barrier and the long string after that. And let's take a look. Oh, I stop it. Haha, some problem again. 401, authentication failed. Why? Maybe because we didn't define the authorization token. So let's keep it for the next stream. I think I will allow the cars endpoints to be accessible without the token, and after that we will implement this authentication token on the next session, or maybe after one, maybe on Wednesday. And yeah, like right now I wanted to say that users, the cars should be allowed to be accessible, and maybe like this I need to define it as well. Yeah, so that means this URL is allowed to be accessible without the token, and those URLs as well. So let's take a look quickly. Okay, there is some other error. Aha, this is the Spring related. Something with the database. Yeah, as you can see, there is no created at field, not field, column in the database. So we didn't push our migration scripts yet. So that is why I think it's fine to add the column like this, timestamp, not null, default now, default now. So we can insert some default value for this column. Something wrong again. As you can see, we are writing tests and finding the problems. First of all, we found the problems on the security level. We could not discover this problem without the manual testing, right? And I mean, if we will write just unit tests, and we get the problem on the database level right now, and we didn't even start the application yet. So some error occurred one more time. Aha. No value in column created it. Okay. Why is it null? This is the user. And so I can set the breakpoint here and we can start the test. So let's take a look what happens. So we entered, this is the test. We are inside of the controller. So we go inside, this is the Spring proxies and so on. Let's do it like this. So we are inside of the mapper. So we need to map the car. So the ID is null, it's fine. The database will generate it, and created at is null as well. So we need to, and it tries to insert null into the database, and database says, hey man, there is a restriction. This field cannot be null. So, and here we need to say that we want to, it's not mapper, it's mapping, and we need to say that created at field, we want to put them some expression. This should be Java, and we want to import local date time. Otherwise, we will need to write the full path to this class, and we want to insert date now. We need to rebuild the project. This is the abstract. For those who didn't remember, we are using the abstract to generate some converters for us. We define just some interface and maybe some annotations, how to map, and the abstract is doing everything for us. So let's take a look. Is it still running? So long. Okay, and yeah, here the date. So we found one more problem in the converter while we were writing just a single test. I think right now it should be green. Yeah. Finally we wrote the first test. So I think we will quickly write some test for the update. It's just success cases. So, but in the best, not the best, but in the best case, not the best cases, in the usual projects, on the everyday projects, on your job, you need to cover all the validation fails, some unexpected situations, and so on, and test everything. So for the update, what I want to do is, first of all, we need to change the path. This is the path update. We need to change the method put. So the token should be here. We will need it very soon. So we need to create the new fixture update. This is the request. So it should be okay. JSON, for example. Oh, we named it valid, right? So this should be valid. Ah, come on. Valid. So let's take a look on our cars API. Where is it? Yeah, this is the grid. This is the update. And this is the example of our request. So the valid, yeah, this is empty. I think we can copy it from the create, but change it a little bit. So let's, right now we will have what we can take, Mercedes, GLS. I don't remember all the cars and so on, so I just want to change something. Car, fuel types. Gasoline, oh, diesel. Okay. So here maybe in this case, we are testing the cars API, and maybe it makes sense to do something like that. So we create the car here. We don't want to validate anything because we already validated in the previous test. We want to return back the response as the string. So this is the response. And we can use, for example, object mapper to map JSON, something that we will need. The idea is to extract the ID of newly created car. And with this ID, we can execute the update query and take a look that everything is updated. So mapper read value response. Read 3. Maybe we will read it in the JSON node get, and we will ask to get us the ID as the string, as text. Okay. As this, we have the long value there, right? As long. So this is the car ID. And we want to use this card ID in this request because, as you remember, the URL looks like this. We need to provide the user ID and the car ID. So this is the put request. We have the request body. We want to change our car to the Mercedes. I don't know why we did this mistake first time when we created our car, but something is changed and we decided to rename it, or yeah, something like that. And we need to define the expected response here as well. So it should be 200 JSON. So we will get back this one plus the ID. We need to insert it. I think it's not a valid JSON, but it is as it is. And yeah, and yeah. So I want to insert the real ID here, and then we will validate the response against this expected response. So we read the file and we need to format it and insert the car ID inside. and then we will perform the validation. And the expected status code is okay, so it should be 200. Let me show you quickly. What's wrong here? No such bin definition. Object mapper. This is the wrong package. Object mapper, where are you? Object mapper. Yeah. We need to insert it from this package. Yeah, we are inside of the create endpoint. As you remember, we set breakpoints here. So we created the car, as you can see. The car ID is 1. So, and right now we want to check what is inside here. Is it valid JSON or not? So as you can see, come on, we forgot to update it here. By the way, if you like my content, please subscribe, follow the process of the development from the scratch. I am showing everything here, so I think it should be, very useful in educational purposes. You can see the real world project, like real experienced developer is developing something. So let's take a look here. What is wrong? Failed to read file. Cars update response. Come on, one more mistake. And it's morning. So many mistakes. By the way, I got my very first subscriber in the Discord chat. So not subscriber, but he's a first member in my Discord chat. So it's inspiring me, if to be honest. The first guy who joined my Discord chat, and you can join as well. So please take a look on the description below. Yeah, ID is 1, so it's absolutely fine. That is what we are expecting, and created date can be anything. Doesn't matter for us. Why I stop it? Yeah, it should be fine, I think. And maybe the last endpoint that we can cover today super quickly. This is the delete method, and the find by user we will implement maybe on the next session. So this is the delete. Okay. Yeah, but again, it's very simple success cases. You need to test the bad requests. For example, for the validation part, you need to test, for example, user not found. You need to test car not found, and so on and so on. So I'm just out of the time, and this is the example. Write in the comments below if we should dedicate one more session to complete all the integration tests here, the bad requests, not found cases, and so on and so on. Okay, it should be more or less almost the same. Let's take a look. Yeah, update. Okay, it's green. So what we are going to do here is we want to insert the car, get the ID of the car, and delete this car. So this is the pass delete. This is the user ID and car ID. This is the token we want to provide. We don't need anything here. There is no content body, request body, and we do not expect to get anything back. So we expect just okay. And maybe we can validate that there is no cars into the database. Find all returns iterable. Why? Car repository. I think this is the Spring JDBC. It's not a Spring Data GPA. So I think we need to add some list repositories. List CRUD repo. Oh, it's interesting. Yeah, that is what we need. Let's replace it. Much better, I think. Find all returns the what? Find. This is the user repository, right? This is the user repository, and we need to rename it correspondingly. And I want to insert the car repository and check that there is no car into the database. So this is the car repository, find all. So, and there is cars, and I want to say that cars is empty. Should be nothing into the database. Each test should be independent. And right now we will take a look if everything is fine. It's okay, but let's try to execute all of our tests. Aha, you see, when we started the single test, it was green. But when I started all the tests, the delete is not okay. It's because we have some cars. So previous tests insert the cars into the database, and it's still there. And when we deleted one of the cars, something is left there. So that is why I used to create one more script to clean up the data into the database. So something like clean SQL. So I want to say that I want to delete from the cars. We can use truncate maybe. Truncate cars. And then we need to truncate the users. Everything that we inserted in the database, we need to delete after the test completion. So, and I want to execute it in every integration test. So I want to say that clean up. And as far as I remember, we need to say that we need to define SQL merge mode. So that means that all the annotations with the SQL definitions should be merged. So, and what the value merge mode is merge. So I don't want to overwrite, I want to merge everything. And let's take a look. Aha, okay, something is wrong. Connection, what? What is going on? Tell me why connection is closed. We need to execute it after the test class, after. And clean is present. Cars. Cannot find the cars. Yeah, because in our database there is no cars, but it's local database. In Postgres, everything should be fine. Okay, delete is not okay. Let's take a look. Why it's not okay? So I executed all the tests and set the breakpoint, and we can take a look. Maybe we can take a look here if there is something left in the database. So we can call the same method. What is inside? There is a car. Who added the car? So we have the script. It inserts the user only. And maybe the cleanup doesn't work as we expect. Let's replace it. Let's delete all. Maybe it would be better. Okay, I think we are out of time right now, but we will take a look on the next session. I think it makes sense to dedicate one more session to the integration test, because I want to show you how the bad request works, how to test not found, how to test 500 errors. Also, we need to write some integration test to find the users by ID. So yeah, as you can see, this is the normal process of the developer. Even the experienced developer could struggle with some things. So sometimes you need to think about, if you are trying to write something during whole day and you cannot achieve the result, you need to go to the bed, and in the morning you know all your problems. It's already in your head. So sometimes it's super easy to solve the problem in the morning. And yeah, please subscribe to my channel. I hope you enjoyed the process of the development. We almost wrote 3 tests to cover success cases for our endpoints. Yeah, and I think I will show you the problem on Monday. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.